Well, welcome to the Montgomery Small Cap CEO series. Today we are privileged to catch up once again with Paul House, IMDEX CEO, stock ticker IMD. Good to see you, Paul, and thanks for making the time to chat.
G'day, Dom. Thanks very much for the opportunity. Always good to catch up.
So, Paul, for those viewers who are potentially not as familiar with the IMDEX story as others, perhaps you could just start off with giving us a brief overview on your company.
Absolutely. Look, IMDEX is almost a 30-year-old company that has. It is the largest mining technology company that you might not have heard of. We are present in every mining jurisdiction around the world and have products today on some 70% of exploration and drilling projects in the world. We're a significant technology investor with our rock knowledge solutions, so very smart products that we invest a substantial amount of R&D in, and that's where we unlock value for our customers, drillers and resource companies both.
Great. And last month, Paul, you guys delivered quite a solid first quarter update to the market. You had about 26% sequential revenue growth on the final quarter of FY20, good tool use out in the field, and a pretty good outlook. Could you perhaps run us through a brief update on that first quarter result?
Yeah, so look, it was particularly pleasing. I think the operating constraints of COVID-19 are well known to everybody, and the mining industry is not immune to that and is equally impacted. Obviously, the impact in the fourth quarter, in April in particular, was very real. But what we've seen is a very steady revenue growth month on month since that time, and that's continued through the first quarter and continues today. So we're extremely pleased that our team's been able to respond, ensure continuity of supply, continue to grow and add new solutions to our customers' projects. And the underlying fundamentals for the industry haven't been stronger than they are today, both in terms of commodity prices, the demand for exploration and budgeted spend in exploration, and equally the problems of using technology or demanding technology to solve ever more complex geological problems. We're in a particularly strong space today and pretty excited about the outlook going forward.
Okay, and so on that bullish outlook that you presented, we can see the commodity prices are very robust. We can see that reserves are being depleted. We can see that the juniors are cashed up in terms of capital raisings. What are your clients on the ground saying about their indications to spend and invest over the coming years?
Yeah, so the optimism in the sector is pretty high. Following the initial response phase to COVID, everyone has established very robust procedures and workflow structures to manage the mobility of personnel to and from projects. It's led to a commitment in investing in new technologies to make the mobilization of people or the aggregation of data easier, and IMDEX is well positioned to benefit from that. And that's all needed because the underlying budgets that they're allocating to spend haven't been looking so promising as they do today. So either the commodity prices, they're generating strong revenues for those that are producers, the capital raisings and the investment going into the juniors and the intermediates is very strong, and everyone's looking for projects in which to deploy it and take advantage of the opportunity to fundamentally solve one of the industry's problems, and that's replace that ever-depleting reserve base that you referred to.
Great, and maybe it's worth just going around the grounds geographically, what you're seeing in terms of the jurisdictions which are still impacted by COVID and potentially opening up and what change is happening there, and then the ones that are even back to normal, albeit probably operating with new workplace practices.
Yeah, sure. So maybe I'll start with the latter first. So Canada, USA, Australia have been very strong throughout this period. And probably supported by better management in response to some of the COVID constraints in the first place. Brazil, West Africa, and Europe have continued to be very strong mining regions. And most of those areas have been less affected by government-imposed restrictions relating to COVID-19. So that leaves the other areas such as South America, the balance of South America excluding Brazil, Southeast Asia and places like Indonesia and the Philippines, and Southern Africa in particular. Those three jurisdictions continue to labour under government-induced constraints and some outbreaks at particular projects and operations. That's leading to a slower recovery compared to the rest of the world, but we are seeing month-on-month growth in all of those regions. And the underlying commitment to drilling and exploration in those regions is just as strong there as it is everywhere in the world. So whilst it's taking longer for them to come out of it, the underlying fundamentals are still really strong. And obviously the progress month on month is great.
So Paul, when we look at lots of other industries, we've seen a huge disruption caused by the pandemic. Businesses have had to quickly react, and it's really interesting to see the significant role that technology's played in allowing and enabling those businesses to react and operate with, I suppose, what's the new normal working under these restrictions. And that's really accelerating a digital transformation that we're seeing across many industries. And, you know, the mining industry, while could be accused of being potentially slower to adopt newer technologies, I suppose we'd be interested in your company's place in this digital transformation. You are absolutely an innovator. You've continually invested in R&D, as you mentioned earlier on, through the cycle, through the history of the company. I suppose we'd be interested in just your take on how IMDEX is positioned to enable that digital transformation that's happening in the mining sector today.
Yeah, absolutely, Dom. Look, IMDEX went, so the secret to being a strong technical/digital company is that you must live and breathe internally the same platforms that you project externally. And IMDEX started on that path with a significant investment about 3-4 years ago now. Our systems internally and the ability to deploy them externally makes us the most or the best positioned mining tech company in the industry to do that. And really that's showing itself in 3 areas. Our IMDEXHUB-IQ platform that allows you to be, as a customer, to be in touch with your projects and the geology of your businesses around the world from anywhere in the world. We've never seen greater take up of that. In fact, we've had a 70% increase in IMDEXHUB tenants over the last 12 months, which is a reflection of the need to get quality data and be able to analyze it from anywhere in the world. The next 2 areas relate to the ability to provide training in new technologies through our IMDEX Academy platform and the ability to receive service and help and support from anywhere in the world at any time, which is our IMDEX customer care platform. So those 3 things we've seen exponential uptake with the restrictions of COVID-19 coming into place. And in an industry where adoption is traditionally quite difficult, we're seeing these new technologies pulled into the marketplace. And IMDEX has such a broad portfolio, we're very good at listening and being able to respond and meet that need. So we're pretty excited about what this means for the long-term future of the industry.
And while we're on that subject, Paul, you've spoken in the past about how adoption of those platforms embed your company deeper with the clients. Can you maybe just expand on that?
Yeah, I'd love to. Look, the real opportunity for us, the absolute secret must always be to add value to your clients. And only when you add value do you get to partner with your clients properly to extract that value together. And obviously for us, that's to the benefit of our shareholders as well. So that IMDEXHUB-IQ platform essentially means that you can take multiple data sets that were traditionally subject to human interpretation, were often manually collated from multiple different sources and took a long time to come together. What the IMDEXHUB platform allows you to do is to get standardized, high quality data from multiple data sources at one time and present it to a decision maker in real time to enable you to make the next decision around your drilling program. So we can now help a client determine whether he should stop drilling, keep drilling, change the direction of drilling, or change where that next drill hole might go based on being able to provide that data in real time. Now, traditionally, that might have taken 3, 6, or 9 months before that data could be aggregated. We offer a platform that allows that decision making to be done as close to real time as possible. And that's hugely empowering for the resource companies that are nimble enough and want to make those decisions.
Great. And one of the exciting parts of the IMDEX story is this very deep product pipeline that you've been working on over the past few years to commercialize. COVID's come along and potentially caused a few delays, but can you maybe just give us an update on the new products, what they are and what they do, and how you're navigating, I suppose, the disruptions in terms of rolling out the commercialization of those products?
Yeah, so you're quite right. We did have a whole series of trials scheduled for things like CoreVibe and MagHammer and Extractor, and they require people to be deployed to site, discretionary time allocated to trials, and engaged programs for training. And with COVID-19, discretionary projects, access to sites, all of those have been quite restricted. However, we're very nimble in that we can actually listen very actively to what the customer wants and pivot away from putting, say, the drilling optimization solutions into play, and instead focusing on the IMDEXHUB-IQ platform technologies into play. So what are we doing with the other technologies in the pipeline? So work continues on them regardless. So CoreVibe continues to be developed at our test site in New Zealand. There's a number of projects where we have people on the ground permanently working with the clients, so we can deploy CoreVibe to those locations. We've just signed a joint development agreement with a tier 1 resource company to accelerate the development of MagHammer. That's particularly exciting because you've got a true partnership and collaboration arrangement. So we expect that project actually to not be impacted by COVID-19 at all. And obviously, if you have a strong partner who's working with you, that accelerates adoption once we reach a commercially viable product. So we've been able to listen to our clients' needs and respond to what their priorities are, and in the background, being able to keep the development of those drilling optimization products moving at speed.
Well, thanks, Paul. Thanks for your time today. Always good to catch up. Sounds like you've got a really exciting few years ahead of you in terms of rolling out this pipeline and also just the inherent strength in the core business. Always good.
Thanks, Tom. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks, mate.